Biden, once again, giving a divisive commencement speech at Howard University this past weekend, claiming that white supremacy is the greatest threat facing our nation. Here's what he said.
To stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. And I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU. I say it wherever I go.
Wow. A terrorist threat. If he wants to talk about terrorist threat, as of Tuesday, 88 illegals on the terrorist watch list have been apprehended at the border in 2023. And those are just the ones that we know of. We're already set to eclipse last year's record total of 98. Keep in mind, there were only 11 encountered. 11 in 4 years under Trump. For more on this, I'd like to welcome former U.S. candidate and GOP strategist Joe Pinion. Welcome, Joe. Also with us is member of the Black Leadership Network, Project 21, Sonia Morris. Sonia, why does this administration seem hell-bent on trying to kind of perpetuate this false narrative that white supremacy is the greatest threat, greatest terrorist threat, when we see what's happening at our border?
Right, exactly. And so his comments really are so incendiary. You use those words only when you're trying to radicalize a group. And he states that he is not saying this because of the fact that he's at an HBCU. That's exactly why he's doing that. And even that tactic and strategy is quite racist, because just because you are speaking at a primarily black school doesn't mean that that's all that African Americans care about. And white supremacy is not the greatest threat that we are facing as a nation. And he forgets that, you know, he's essentially fallen down on the job, and there's a lot wrong with our nation, but that is not the greatest threat.
I know. I mean, how many stories have there been about white supremacists? And speaking of people that like to give incendiary remarks and be very divisive, I want you both to take a listen to what Al Sharpton from MSDNC had to say at Jordan Neely's funeral. He gave the eulogy there. Jordan Neely was the homeless man who had been arrested over 40 times, and then he was killed by a Good Samaritan. So take a listen.
If Jordan had been a different race and they had him impersonating Elvis, and a black guy put Elvis impersonator in a chokehold, and two black guys held him down, they would not have let that black guy leave the precinct that night.
I feel bad for our viewers. We even had to play that clip. I mean, Joe Pinion, I mean, what goes through your mind hearing that kind of rhetoric from Al Sharpton?
First of all, I think to our colleague's point here, this is just more radical, incendiary rhetoric from individuals who do not care about ending the pain and suffering of black people. They care more about trying to ensure that they can win elections, that they can try to paint your neighbor as a threat to your liberty and your actual existence. So I think if we're talking about black people living in America or just the homeland itself, it weren't white supremacists over there hacking the Pentagon. That was Russia. It wasn't white supremacists who hacked our beef supply. That was Russia. It wasn't white supremacists who decided to leave $85 billion of military hardware in Afghanistan. That was Joe Biden. And if you're talking about the black people at that university, they should be concerned about the soft bigotry of low expectations, the new white supremacy perpetuated by that Democratic Party that says nothing while we have reading proficiency in the toilet for black children all across this nation, saying nothing about the math proficiency going down and down and down. So right there where he was speaking, a hop, a skip, and a jump away, we're dealing with the fact that we have close to 70% of high school students reading at an elementary school level in parts of Baltimore. So that's what he should be focused on if he wants to pander to a black audience. But no, he wants to, in many ways, try to scare a black audience into voting for him one more time.